Good morning. This morning I want to talk about a very interesting subject. What to do when you experienced heaven, when you experienced enlightenment, and then it's gone again. You lost it. And you don't know how you got it in the first place, and you have no idea how to get it back. And I want to talk about this, how to get it back. And I received 2 letters about this subject. And I would like to start with reading out the first of these letters and answer to it. And later I will read the second letter. Dear Michael, thank you for your videos and the peace that comes from listening to them. My question concerns an experience I had many years ago, at a time when there was a lot of grief in my life. During a workshop, I entered a state that people with near-death experiences report. I experienced this overwhelming love, this radiant light, a lightness and infinity, and I was all of this myself. I knew everything, and I knew that everything was right the way it was. I was at home, really at home. Afterwards, I was told that my eyes had changed, and that I could see right into the source. They glowed and shone. Unfortunately, this experience didn't last long. About 6 months later, when I heard a piece of music in the car, that brought me back to the state, and I could have just kept on driving. I just wanted to be in this love. I didn't need anything, no food, no drink, nothing. I was allowed to experience this for 1.5 days. Then it was extinguished again. What do you call that? I wonder why it doesn't come back, and why it can't stay. Do we have an answer? I want it back so much. Thank you for your letter. You may not know it, but what you experience and what you describe in your letter is something almost everybody who is on this path does experience. This is a normal and totally common experience, and I heard it from so many people. For 20 years I was traveling with my spiritual master Soham, and I was with him in satsang almost every day. And during these 20 years I heard the same story, this report, over and over again. It's normal. And what happens there is that you experience the truth, you experience enlightenment, you experience heaven. But you experience it not out of yourself. It didn't grow in you. It's like you received it as a gift, as a teaser, so to speak, to show you the way, to make you hungry, to show you a totally new direction in life. when you experienced it the first time or the first 2 times, it happened to you without you being really ready for it. And that is why it can't stay. And that is why it can't come back. Because you're not ready. Sometimes we get these experiences as a gift. Because somebody who is living in heaven is close to us. Or maybe because God just wants to bring you into difficulties and shake up your life. Because before this experience, you were happy. I mean, you had a difficult life, you say, but now you know what's possible. Now you have a real problem. Now you know what's possible. But you don't know how to get it back. You don't know how to get there again. That is a real problem, it seems. Now, the first thing I would like to recommend to you is something I heard my spiritual master Soham say many times in satsang. He said, forget the experience. Forget it. Don't ask yourself what it was. Don't ask yourself how to call it. Don't wish it to come back. Just forget it, as if it never happened. Come back here, where you are, right now. You know, when you had this experience, you didn't want anything. By some grace, by some miracle, you were in a space of wishlessness, thoughtlessness. And that's when it happened. Or when you listen to the music in the car. No thoughts, no wishes. And there it was. Now when you want it back, that's a different state. You live in the past. You remember something. You want something. And it doesn't work like this. It can't work like this. It's obvious. Now the trouble we have with this is only because of a misconception. You know, we have this imagination that enlightenment or heaven is something which comes to us by accident, by grace. It changes us or our life from one moment to the next, and then that's it. But as you found out, it is not like this. You experienced it, and now it's gone again. Nothing changed. The problem is only with our imagination. Our imagination is wrong. There's nothing wrong with what you experienced. What you experience is totally normal. And I will come to this in a moment. But this imagination that it should be a change overnight and then it stays forever, that imagination is not true. It's just an imagination. And it's funny, you know, in all other areas of life, we don't think like this. We don't have this imagination. Like, let's say you want to learn how to play the violin. You would never expect to go to a violinist, to a violin teacher, and after the first lesson, you know how to play like a concert player, like a virtuous, world-class player. Yeah, you would never expect this. And if anybody would expect it, you would think this person is crazy. You would say, hey, forget it. It doesn't work like this. You have to practice. You have to learn the technique. You have to learn the feeling. You have to learn the sensitivity. Yeah, and when you practice every day a little bit, regularly, then all this grows. It's no big deal. It just takes practice and time and heart and a little bit of dedication and a lot of patience, and then you learn it. And it is like this with everything else. And in these practical areas of life, this is totally normal for us. Yeah? There's not one area in life where we would expect to learn something overnight, and then it is like this. Yeah? We are a master from one day to the other. Nobody would think this. Only in spirituality we have this funny imagination. And the reason for this is that this is an area which is not familiar to us. We don't have any experience with it, and we don't know anybody else who has experiences with this. So we are totally clueless. We are not familiar with the territory, so to speak. And that's why we have these funny imaginations. But in reality, the spiritual path is just like any other path in life. It's easy, it's natural, but it takes time. Like everything else in life, every change in life, also this change happens slowly, naturally, over time. It's something we have to learn, we have to grow into. Now, we get this first glimpse, and this gives us a direction. Before you had this first glimpse, that's what we could call enlightenment. Yeah? Suddenly you're enlightened. Suddenly you see something you have never seen before. It's gone again, but you know it's there. Now you know what's possible in life. Now you can't go back to your old life, because you know this is possible. And I don't want to live any other way. Once you know this, once you experience this once, all the other things become meaningless for you. And that's the grace, that's the gift of this first experience. To give you this new direction, a direction you never knew anything about before. And now the question is, how to get there? Yeah. You got this first taste. It's like, to come back to this example with the violin, it's like you are invited to this concert and you hear this amazing violinist play. You don't know how this is possible, but there's this man or woman playing on the stage, and it is as if somebody plays a magic instrument in your heart. And it moves a space in your heart which you never knew about before. And then you say, oh wow, this is magic. I want to learn this. And then you, of course you cannot play like this amazing musician. But you know the direction, you know what's possible. And then you start. You get yourself a violin, you get yourself a teacher, and then you start. And it doesn't matter to you that you can't play like this musician in the beginning. Maybe you will never play like this musician in your whole life. It doesn't matter to you. You know the direction. You know, this is my path. This I want to learn. And you do. You practice every day and you improve month by month. And it gives you so much joy and a new dimension in your life. It's like I started to learn to play the piano just 2 months ago. And of course, I'm a total beginner. I'm just learning the pure basics. But it gives me so much joy. It adds a new dimension to my life. Yeah. And it's the same with the spiritual thing. You know, the trouble is that we, in our Christian culture, we have never been made familiar with how it really works. Sometimes I have the impression that nobody in the Christian church really knows what they are talking about. Yeah, they talk about a Jesus, but they never talk about how to become a Jesus. They don't tell us how Jesus became a Jesus. I always had the impression that Jesus is a human being of another kind, like a being completely different from me. It's like I will never be like him. He is like a different breed. Yeah, I always got the impression when I had religion lessons in school, for instance, that we can only look up to him, but we are not equal. Yeah, we will never be like him, and there is no way to bridge the gap. We can only hope and pray. But this is not what Jesus said. Jesus said, I'm the Son of Man. I'm a human being like you. And he said, I'm the Son of God. So he said, I'm both. I'm a human being. And as a human being, I am the Son of God. This is his good news. His good news is, look, this is possible. But nobody told us how it is possible. Jesus told us, but nobody explained it to us. I made many videos about this because I love this so much. But that's why we have these funny ideas about enlightenment and about spirituality. And that's why we are so shocked when we taste it for the first time in our lives, and then it's gone again, and we are shocked. It's like, where did it go? What did I do wrong? Yeah. So don't worry. You didn't do anything wrong. Everything is perfect. But of course now the question remains how to get back there. And I want to talk about this now. So the question is how to make yourself ready so this will be able to come again. So this will come out of yourself, not borrowed from somebody else, but out of yourself. How can you do this? That's the question. How can you become the gardener of your own heaven? How can you foster the readiness in you that this can happen? And it's simple. It's really simple. It's no difficulty involved here. And there are two things you can do. The one is be here in this moment as well as you can. Learn to say yes, to accept everything the way it is for you right now. And start with those things which are closest to you. Start with yourself. I know this is the most difficult. I like to start with the most difficult, because then it gets easier and easier. Yeah. Begin to look, how am I? And accept yourself. Accept your feelings. Every feeling, except the feeling you have right now. And then, a few minutes later, there will be a different feeling. Accept this too. Invite it. Allow it to be here. And you experience yourself every day in all these different situations. You experience yourself in different ways. Say yes to this. I forgot something. Okay, I'm forgetful, I know. Okay, I am like this. Can I love myself like this? Yes. Oh, I did something wrong. Yes, I am like this. This is how I know myself. Yes. Can I love myself like this? Yes. No, it's nothing esoteric. It's something very, very practical. You hear this a lot, being here in the moment. It's a very practical thing. Accept what is, and you are here. And when you don't accept what is, how you are, how life is, how the world is, then you're not here. You're thinking, you're dreaming. So the first thing you can do is begin to say yes to how it is for you now. Forget the experience you had. Forget your wish to want it back. Instead, look around, inside of yourself. How do I feel right now? Maybe sad, maybe lost, maybe frustrated. Invite that which is here right now. Invite that into your heart. Give this the permission to stay, as long as it wants, forever. And you can do this with everything you find in yourself, with your emotions, with physical feelings, with pain, with the way you perceive yourself. Begin to say yes. Begin to accept. And then, accepting the things outside of you, accepting the people around you, accepting the life circumstances, the world. That's easy then. When you start with yourself, the rest is really easy. It's interesting, once you had an experience like the one you reported, we want to, in a way, we want to get away from how it is for us now, and we want to get into this new way of living, into this new experience. And I tell you, do the opposite. Forget this, and instead be more here where you are right now. Unconditionally. Without this thought in the back, okay, when I do this, it will become different again. That doesn't work. Say truly yes. Okay, yes. This is very, very helpful. And there's something else you can do, a second thing, and that is meditation. I recommend to you that you begin the Samapan meditation. And I will tell you why. And to illustrate this a little bit, I want to tell you about my life and how it changed my life. I met my spiritual master, Soham, 23 years ago, and for 17 years I was with him, and he taught me exactly what I just recommended to you, to be in the moment, to say yes to everything, to accept everything, inside of myself and outside. And it changed my life. It changed me. I became happy. I became content. And I arrived at a state in life where I had no wishes anymore. I didn't know what to wish for anymore. I had everything I could imagine. Not material, not in the material world or so. I'm talking about in means of contentment, in means of happiness. My inner world. That's what I'm talking about. And yet, when the Samarpan meditation came into my life 6 years ago, after I already had been with my Master Zoham for 17 years, after I had learned to say yes for 17 years, then I began with this meditation. And this changed everything. Before, I thought I'm happy. But only when this meditation came into my life, it was like the whole thing exploded. Yeah, it was like being in the moment, saying yes, prepared me, made me ready, made me available. But only when I began with the Samarpan meditation, only then it was like the connection to that place where this, what you experienced, came from. The connection to that space, to that world, that begins to open when we meditate. We live in a time where living in the moment, being here, saying yes, these are things you hear from many people. And this is a good thing. We live in really wonderful times that this becomes so popular, so to speak. Yeah. Like an Eckhart Tolle, he fills halls with thousands of people listening to his discourses. And that's all he does. He invites people to be here in the moment. And that's what Soham taught me for so many years. And it's magic. And I would say without this, nothing else is possible. But my experience was that this alone was not enough. After 17 years, I felt I'm happy, but in a way I felt like a ripe fruit on a tree, but the fruit couldn't fall. And then the meditation came into my life. And in a matter of a few years, the fruit fell from the tree and into heaven. The meditation starts to connect you with something you can't get connected to in any other way. That's my experience. Yeah. And it happens so quickly and so easily. And that's why I recommend this to everybody. Yeah. And these two things together, they are magic. And in a way, the Samarpan meditation teaches you nothing else. Yeah. Samarpan means surrender. And surrender is just another word for saying yes. It's just another word for accepting everything. When I surrender to life or to God, what I'm basically doing is I say, okay, God, your will be done. I accept everything. Here I am. I have no wish of my own. That's surrender. And that's what we do when we are here in the moment. And the Samarpan meditation brings this additional dimension. I made a few videos about this meditation where I talk about it in detail. So I want to not do this here, but what we do during the meditation is we rest with our attention here at the crown chakra, this highest spot of your skull. We just rest there without wanting anything, without waiting for something, without wanting to go somewhere. No, we stay where we are. The only thing we do is our attention rests here. And when you try this, you will notice pretty quickly that you can only do this when you leave aside all of your thoughts. As long as you are thinking, you are here. And when you come here with your attention, it's like you have to leave your thoughts behind. It's magic. And when you rest there with your attention, you will find out rather quickly that in some way you cannot explain, but you can experience, it connects you with something different. And you know the taste of this different. When you start this meditation, you will know what I mean. And it's like, you know, doing the meditation, it's not that the goal of this meditation is that during the meditation you experience heaven. It's not the goal that you reach a certain state during the meditation. That's not the case. The meditation is a practice where you focus your attention here for half an hour. That's it. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what you experience during the meditation. You just rest with your attention there. And all the rest happens by itself, somewhere in your life, slowly, over time. And this meditation opens up a completely new dimension to that what you already experienced. This practicing to say yes to everything in you, everything around you, that's the groundwork. And the meditation, for me, I often describe it like this. When I rest with my attention at the crown chakra during the meditation, it is like I'm sitting at the door to heaven. This is a door we cannot open. It's a door we cannot walk through. It doesn't work. If we do this, we don't walk through this door, we walk somewhere else. We only can sit there. But the rest happens by itself over time. So these are the two things you can do. Practice acceptance of everything you find in yourself, of everything you find in your life, and start meditating the Samarpan meditation. And forget everything about what you experienced. It did its job. It made you aware of this new. It made you hungry. And now forget it. Now just practice. Take violin lessons and practice every day, so to speak. And it's easy. It's not difficult whatsoever. It's natural. It's a natural development process. It's not always pleasant when you begin to say yes to everything inside of you, to your feelings. There are many feelings which are not pleasant. Say yes anyway, then it's easy. Saying no is very difficult. But when you say yes, it's all easy. And when you begin with the Samarpan meditation, your ability to be in the moment and your awareness, your perception becomes better and better. So you discover more and more things about how it is for you, how it is to be in the moment. And many things are a little bit unpleasant in the beginning. Say yes anyway. then it's easy. And the difficulties are only in the beginning. After a while, it gets easier. That's the path I can recommend. It's a path you don't walk. It's a path you can't go. These are steps you can't take. You can just be here. You can just be here and say yes. And you can meditate without wanting anything. And all these steps will be taken for you. Sometimes I have the feeling, then I'm being carried on that path. We can't do it ourselves, but we don't have to. Thank you for your question. I love this question. I love this letter because this is how it is for all of us, sooner or later. And now I want to read the second letter. For me, the second letter is about exactly the same subject, although it sounds totally different. You will see. Dear Michael, I was led to you just a few days ago. You speak from my soul in so many ways. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your work, your expression, and your putting things into words. I experienced something indescribable for me in the year 2021. I call it an encounter with God. Since then, I've been integrating what I experienced. This truth, this overwhelming, unconditional love, this peace, this primal truth, as I like to summarize it. And at the same time, it is something that I cannot put into words. It is as if my foundation on which I build, on which I live, and also work, has been completely renewed since then. I have dived even deeper into the divine order, into this all is well. And I have been there almost constantly ever since. What this all is well also entails is that I no longer find anything in many pleasures of normal life, in these things that people normally find so beautiful and worthwhile. I have never shared these human classics, and yet, since my encounter with God, it is even more intense and clear and distinct for me. In one video, you talk about walking the path to the end. I described it for myself as, it has to go on now. I can no longer live below this highest truth that I have experienced, because that's not fulfilling for me. And yet, I don't know how. Where does this path go on? And as I'm writing this to you, my soul is already answering. It says, you are already going further just by moving this question within you. Just trust and follow. It is unspectacular. The spectacular, the hunt for the next hype, this is over. What does it mean for you to go all the way to the end this time? Yes, thank you for your letter. Now, it sounds like the opposite compared to the first letter. Here's a lady who experienced heaven and who has not lost it. And yet, she knows this is not the end. And I'm so happy about this letter because I have had exactly the same experience. I talked about it already earlier when I answered the first letter. After I had been with my master Soham for 17 years, I was happy. I could have said, I'm in heaven. I was happy and had no wishes. I was content. And yet, during that year, 17 years ago, now 6 years ago, sorry. It's 6 years ago, and that was after I had been with Soham for 17 years. I discovered this feeling inside of me. This is not it. There is something else I don't know anything about. I had no clue what it was. And of course I had no clue how to get there. There was just this feeling. This is not the end. And that was a total surprise for me. And I had no answer. And my master Soham had no answer either. One day I shared this with him, this feeling, and he said, Michael, you know, it's the same for me. I feel the same. And then, at this point where you are right now, a few weeks later, the Samarpan meditation entered my life. A few weeks later, Swamiji, this Indian guru who brings the Samarpan meditation from the Himalayas into society, he came into my life and into the life of my master Soham. And with this meditation, the answer to your question came into my life. The path opened, a totally new path. And 6 years ago, at that time, this was a total revelation for me. As I said, I was completely happy. I was content. I had no wishes. I thought, this is it. But I knew this is not it. But I didn't know what to wish for. And with this meditation opened the path to heaven. The path into this other dimension. The path into this real dimension, as I would call it today. The path into heaven. And it's simple. You just meditate the Samarpan meditation every morning, half an hour. That's it. Once a week you meditate with other people together. In a group or online if you don't have a group close by. And the whole rest happens all by itself. It's magic. It's natural. And it's so easy. And I just said it, you know. It's a path you cannot walk. You cannot change yourself. You cannot take even one step on this path. You can only be here, accept everything the way it is now, including this feeling of, this is not it. And you can meditate. The Samarpan meditation. This is a meditation where you don't want anything. You're just resting at your own crown chakra. That's all. That's easy. Everybody can do this. It sounds so unspectacular, and it is. And during meditation, nothing spectacular happens most of the time. And yet, everything changes. Everything. Now you ask, how is this for me to walk the path to the end this time? The writer of this letter refers to a video I made just recently, where I talk about exactly this question. I talked about how in my past life, in the life I lived before this life, I already was at that point where I was happy and content. But I didn't walk the path to the end. I lost the path. I got sidetracked. And when I came into this life, I came with this resolution, this time I walk the path to the end. And that's what the lady refers to. And that's why I had this feeling, I was happy. After 17 years with my master, I was happy. I had everything I could wish for. And yet I know I'm not at the end. This is not what I'm here for. This time, I want to walk to the end. And then the Samarpan meditation came into my life. And then I could see the path to heaven. And it takes no time. You meditate for a few years and you begin to taste heaven. And more, slowly, naturally, this heaven grows in you. It comes to you. Yeah? It comes to you through the crown, into your life. It's your own, more and more. Yeah, and you ask, how is it for me to walk the path to the end this time? For me it is, I just am here. I forget everything. I even forget to walk the path to the end this time. Although this is the objective of this life, and I know this and I can't forget it, but I forget it and I'm just here. And I meditate and I'm just here. And whenever I meditate and there are imaginations of anything great, I forget it and I'm just here. Every day, every moment, I'm in this completely unspectacular here. And every day my life changes. Every day there are little miracles and heaven surrounds me. Heaven surrounds me from all sides more and more without me doing anything other than forgetting everything. Just being here, meditating. Walking the path to the end means I don't make any more steps. I'm here. And meditating, the Samarpan meditation is the ultimate being here for me, the ultimate not taking any more steps. When you try to meditate this meditation, you will notice you can think. If you think, you are not meditating. You have to come back here. When you rest with your attention here, you can think. A moment later, you notice, oh, I'm thinking again. And you notice, I'm not in the crown anymore with my attention. Then you return again and again. So I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to finish anything. I don't want to reach anywhere. I'm more here than ever. But I meditate. And through this, the whole rest happens by itself. I know this sounds a little bit paradoxical, but this is how it is. For me, this is how this path works. The pathless path. The path without steps. It is called like this since ancient times because you can't make the steps. You can't walk. If you do the walking, if you do the steps, you're on a different way. Not on the way to heaven. Yeah. And it's funny, at the end I want to point out one more paradox on this funny path. In a way, we begin to experience heaven. And we know how it tastes like. And then our task is to forget it. And to make friends with being human. And when you begin this, you discover that actually, up to this point, you have never made friends with being human. You always wanted something else, but not this normal humanness, this ordinariness, this simplicity. And that's why what Jesus said is so magic. He said, I am the Son of Man. It's like he's the only Son of Man. All other people want to be something else. He was the only one who was really man. And by arriving here in your humanness, in your ordinariness, by that the second part comes, the Son of God. I find this so amazing. That's why it's so easy, you know. You don't have to reach heavenly spheres, you don't have to become spiritually advanced, you don't have to learn magic skills. Quite the contrary. The only difficulty is to have the willingness to be just here, ordinary, as you already are, discovering how you are, discovering how the moment is, and meditate. And let everything go, and allow everything to unfold in its own way. And then this magic happens. Then the path is being finished. That is my experience. And that's why nobody wants to walk this path. It's so easy. Heaven is just waiting with open doors for you. But most people want the extraordinary, the excitement, the hype. Every week something new. But the really easy path is so unattractive for our ego and for our ambition. And that's the only path which is leading anywhere. Yeah. That's my experience, at least. So I invite you for the easy way. The only thing you need is a little bit of patience and the willingness to be here, to accept, to say yes, and to meditate a little. It's all very easy. And I'm here, that's why I make videos every week, to encourage you on this simple path, the simple, seemingly unspectacular, seemingly unattractive path, and I borrow you my patience, my stubbornness. Thank you for being here.